All right, let's get into our teaching tonight. I want to talk about some late season helpful tips. Now, some of you may not feel that this is late season, and it depends on where you live and all that. I feel like it's late season personally. I mean, you know, my honey flow is just about over. It's winding down here in Illinois. Our clover is not really doing much anymore, and we're pretty far out from getting asters like goldenrod. So right now our bees are slowly getting into a dearth, like a holding pattern, when they start consuming the winter stores that they've been storing up. But let's talk about this. Let's jump right into it. One of the things that, like we've been saying already tonight, one of the things that can happen is your bees can start getting to be robbed out. And so this happens by larger colonies or more aggressive colonies trying to rob out your bees, and they'll go in there and try to rob out the honey stores. So I want you to be careful when you're working your hives. Think about buying burlap. Burlap is a big help. If you can use burlap, if you don't have a way to put a top cover on real quick, you can put a piece of burlap over open boxes. I use this a lot. It's my go-to method. It cuts down on robber bees finding these open boxes, like when you've got a hive torn open for an inspection. So order that. On almost all my videos in the description, I leave a link where you can buy food grade burlap. But it's amazing how much that really does help. And it's kind of ventilated so it doesn't smother your bees like a top cover might. So, you know, be thinking about that too. And then we talked about the robber screen. We just gave one away for those of you who are just getting here. We got another giveaway coming up. But how to use the robber screen, it fits right on the front of your hive. Now, what does robbing look like? It's when bees are trying to get into your hive from other colonies, and they're trying to get in everything. They're trying to get in under the top. They're trying to get in the back, underneath. They're just flying around, and you can see bees fighting. Bees will be fighting in the entrance. So that means they're being robbed out. Robber bees are trying to get the honey to beef up their colony. And if it gets really bad, they will destroy your whole colony. So use a robber screen, and you place it on the bottom board like this. And it's got some thumb tacks to push in there to hold it in place. And we just gave one of those away, but they're really good to keep robber bees out, because robber bees can't really figure out the hole that your bees are going in and out. So use a robber screen. Well, let's talk about how to prevent robbing. Well, first of all, you don't want to leave any honey supers or feeders out in the open. You know, if you're extracting honey, you're opening up your hive, you're pulling out frames of honey, you probably get some honey on your hands. You might get honey on the outside of your hive. Please try to clean all that up. Don't leave honey on the outside of your hive. That will attract robber bees. Any feeders that you leave out, that's going to attract robber bees. So try very carefully not to spill or drip. I mean, if you're mixing anything near your house or your property to feed your bees, don't put it on the ground. You know, rinse it out thoroughly inside the house. Don't let there be an odor of honey or sugar water outdoors. Do not feed too close to your hive. If you're using an open feeder, you know, if you're putting a pan of sugar water out somewhere, if you're open feeding, you've got to be a couple of 100 feet away from your hives, or else they'll be going there and they'll be passing your hives, and they'll get attracted to your hives going to your open stations. So be careful about feeding your bees too close. Here's another tip. I didn't put it in there, but I just thought of it. So when you harvest your honey supers, your frames, a lot of times people don't know what to do with the wet supers. Wet supers are supers where the frames, we spin out the honey into an extractor, right? And it's all spun out, but the frames, all the cells still have a little glistening, wet amount of, a tiny little amount of honey in there. And so a lot of people will sit those out in the yard for the bees to clean up. That is sometimes not advisable, because if you put it too close to hives, it will cause robbing. And so oftentimes I just put it back on a hive. It doesn't have to be the hive I took it off of, but set it back on a hive under a top cover, let them clean it up internally, and that controls robbing. So be careful about putting your extractors out on the yard. If you want them to clean up your extractors or your buckets after you've harvested honey and extracted it and bottled it, if you're going to do that, put it really, really, really far, 300 feet away from where your bees are to clean up stuff. I talked about, using burlap. So now that maybe if there's a nectar ending, your flow is ending and you're in a dearth, you've got to still inspect your hives, but it's going to be really hard. Those of you that are new to beekeeping, you've never experienced late summer and fall inspections, be on red alert, because you open that hive up and you think it's going to be normal. Only once you see a lot of bees flying around the top of your boxes that you're trying to inspect. Your bees don't typically do that. Your bees go in and out the front, right? All these bees that are flying around the top of the boxes, they're robber bees, and they'll quickly go tell the hive a hive is open. So you got to work faster. I don't want you to be careless and clumsy, but you got to be coordinated. Make your inspections very purposeful and have that burlap ready. Put tops on boxes with the burlap, or put them in a quiet box. Bring it deep out there. Move your frames over there that you don't want in the hive or something and cover them up. So be sure and do that. Please do not use any entrance feeders. It's going to be the wrong time of the year to do that during a dearth, and that will definitely bring robbers to the hive. Well, how do you stop robbing once it starts? You stop it by preventing it. That sounds like it's kind of a funny thing to say, but I mean it. It is almost impossible to stop robbing. I've had it happen to me plenty of times, and I've gone out there and tried all these techniques, and it didn't work. They just would not stop robbing. It is a frenzy, and they are relentless about it. But you can try these things. We recommend taking a water hose, spraying the area the hive's being robbed, just spray it like it's raining. Maybe it'll drive the robber bees away. I didn't have any luck with it. I've tried to put blankets on the hive that's being robbed, but you can't totally seal it off or you'll smother the hive being robbed. You got to leave it open somewhere, right? That didn't work good for me. Now, what would work is at night, you can move that hive that's being robbed off the property where your robber bees can't find it. But that's a lot of work. And many of you either don't want to do that or don't have the back or the equipment to move hives around. But that is one option. I'll throw it out there. Now, another way is to feed very far away, 300 feet or more from where your hives are located. What this does, it attracts your robber bees to an easier source of water. Make it 1-to-1, put it in a pan 300 feet away, and hopefully that will draw bees to an easier source rather than right there by your bees. And then another thing you really need to be aware of, if you're seeing robbing starting, sometimes it starts kind of small, then get all the feeding, whatever you're using to feed your bees on the hive, get that off or out of the hive. And that way you want to make sure they're not being attracted to your hive by the feed that you're using. But anytime you feed bees, make sure all the crevices are pretty taped over, sealed off, no holes in the box. That can be bad. Hey, let's talk about small hive beetles. How's everybody doing this year with small hive beetles? Athenia timida. I mean, it is an interesting insect that has been brought into the country here in the U.S. in the 80s, and we've been dealing with it for a long time. It is not bad in my area this year. I have probably killed less than and seen less than 20 beetles on my property. And in previous years, I've seen 20 beetles in the first 5 seconds when I open a hive. So I've been really fortunate this year. And so obviously we all go back to the best way of killing them is to smash them. That's how you control them. They smash easy, smash them in the hive. Don't let them reproduce, kill them when you see them. Trap them. There's several different kinds of traps you can use. By the way, small hive beetle will be getting worse now that it's hot and humid outside. And so you got to watch it carefully. You got more honey on the hive. They love to be in hives with a lot of honey and pollen in there. You can use a DE or diatomaceous earth. A lot of people ask me questions about that. That helps kill some of the larvae in the ground. You can use, a lot of beekeepers are using Grub X. It's not labeled to help with small hive beetle, but beekeepers are putting it around their beehive property because it will kill all grubs in the ground, including small hive beetle. And a lot of people use microfiber pads. They're cloths that, like dryer sheets, sort of pack them in the corners of your hives, and the beetles get their little feet stuck in them. And then you can have a bucket of soapy water, take those sheets out, shake off the beetles into a big bucket of soapy water. There's a lot of different ways. Yes, I've heard of them all, I'm sure, different ways to kill beetles, but these are some of the more effective ways to take care of the small hive beetle. Then we have the wax moth. These are actually called the greater wax moth, Galleria molinella. And this is what the frame looks like once it's been worked over by these greater wax moth. They're not actually all that big, but you know, there's some that are smaller. But if you've ever had this happen, it looks like you're a horrible beekeeper. You feel so bad because they build all of this webbing all over your frames, and they defecate all in your frames and your hive. And their larvae pupa stage will burrow into the wood of your boxes and your frames and leave little notches all throughout the inside of your boxes. So the way to avoid this, listen, you got to keep large, healthy hives. You got to just keep them big. The bigger the hive is, the less likely they are to ever have a problem with wax moths because they will control them through large population. Now, if you have a frame like this and it's all messed up, don't burn it. It's benign. Don't burn it. It's fine. You just need to freeze it in the freezer for a couple of days. It will kill all eggs, all stages of the wax moth. And that way you can use the frame again, kind of the bees to clean it up. And so you just want to kill all the different stages of the greater wax moth. Especially if you're selling cut comb, you don't want to sell that without freezing it first in case there are eggs, wax moth larvae in that cut comb that you're selling. But freezing frames is the answer. There are chemicals, pyridichlorine benzenate, and other chemicals you can use. I don't use those. They seem to be a little too toxic for my appetite, and I don't like to do that. So, but you can do that. There are some that bee stores will sell. You put it in empty boxes, not live boxes, but empty boxes in storage to kill, but it doesn't kill all stages. It doesn't kill the eggs. And so you're you don't get a full kill on that. So when you do store your frames, when you're done harvesting your honey, a lot of beekeepers over the years that I've known have taken their supers off and placed them in a building only to have them destroyed off of the hive in a building in storage by the greater wax moth. So you got to store them in a place where the wax moth cannot fly or get into, okay? Got to be really careful about storing those frames. Remember that a lot of people say that wax moths killed their bees. That's not the case. No, wax moths do not kill colonies, okay? Get that in your thinking. They only go in as a cleanup crew after the colony has weakened to the point where it's dead for all intents and purposes. It's small, it's weak, it's dead, and they go in there and devour the comb and eat it all up. It's a cleanup crew. So it means that your colony died from something else before the wax moth got in there. So remember that. Here's what they look like. They're larger. The wax moth larvae are larger, and they don't have the spines on top like small hive beetles do. So you can tell the difference. Small hive beetle larvae are going to be a little smaller than that. But that's how big they are. Be on the watch for that. This time of the year especially, it can be really bad. And finally, I want to talk about ants. A lot of you have been asking me about ants. That's a big question I get asked because a lot of beekeepers panic the minute they see one ant on the outside walking around their hive, or sometimes you can see a line of ants walking up the side of your hive, and you panic and you think, oh my gosh, all the ants are walking in there and devouring my hive. That's really never the case. I mean, I guess fire ants could do that, but most ants, like sugar, sweet ants, you probably just got a little area up there on the outside or just under the inner cover where those ants can go up there and get a little bit of honey or sugar. But for the most part, these ants are not threatening your hive at all. No matter if they're small, sweet ants or larger, bigger ants, they're not really tolerated in the hive at all. They're pretty much taken care of and controlled, like I said, unless they're overwhelmed by fire ants or something that can destroy animals, you know. And so we got to be careful. But I'll give you a few suggestions. In the old days, when I was a young beekeeper, 30 years ago, people would say, go out and put Queen Anne's lace, a flower, underneath your top cover, between the top cover and the inner cover, and that would keep out ants. I don't know if that was true or not. I never used it, but that's what some people say. There's so many different wives' tale and folklores surrounding beekeeping, and today we're much more scientific than we used to be. We try to rely on science to give us more concrete answers to that. But I would suggest if you do see ants and they're a big problem, especially sometimes if you're feeding, it might be time to remove the feeders for a little bit. You know, get rid of the ants by removing the sugar they're attracted to. You know, we hang out we hang out hummingbird feeders next to our kitchen windows. We eat breakfast, watch hummingbirds, right? You do too. And boy, the ants, they'll walk down the little cable that the hummingbird feeders are tied onto, and they'll just go in there and take over a hummingbird feeder. It's crazy. So sometimes we have to remove it. I've tried putting grease on the string to keep ants off, and they're able to walk over grease sometimes. So if your hive is able, by having feet on it, you can put the feet in a pan or a bucket, like with vegetable oil or something, and you make a moat, and that way the ants can't cross the oil. Don't use motor oil or anything, but use something like vegetable oil, and that way the ants can't gain access into your hive. They can't get from the ground into your hive or on your hive. So I've also experimented and had success by putting double-sided sticky tape on the outside of one of my lower deeps, and I put a little cinnamon on it. Ants are really good about following each other in a straight row by pheromones. So if you put cinnamon and mess up their straight row that they're marching by following pheromones, they don't know where to go after that. They don't cross the cinnamon line, and they don't like cinnamon anyway. So think about that. That's one method you could use. But please do not use bug sprays, anything that liquid ant killers around your hive. I'd be afraid that they could, bees might get into that. So be careful. Well, and finally, probably the best thing you can do is just, keep your yard and your hives clean. Try to pick up everything, make it look tidy. Try for it to really look good. But that's my best take on controlling some of these pests that we have around a hive. This year we had skunks, and they weren't bothering my bees though. We had a skunk raise a whole family, and and we had a lot of skunks. I'd walk out the back door, there'd be a skunk 1 inch from me on the back step, and it wouldn't spray me. It'd just walk away, So you have to watch that though. Skunks are insectivores. They do like to eat bees. And you can put little strips of like carpet tack in the front near your beehive so that their little paws get pricked by the little nails. But we're always putting up with something. When I was out at EAS, I had a lot of my friends telling me that they are still battling bears, out in that area, the Northeast, putting up electric fences, trying to keep bees. I remember speaking with one lady that was asking me, she has bees on her balcony, second-story balcony, and the bear was climbing up the side of her house, and she was trying to put electric fence on her balcony. And so those of you that battle bears, hats off, you got your work cut out. I've never had any bears here in Illinois, but that's a big pest and very, very challenging. Yeah. All right, very good. That's the teaching for tonight. Thank you. And now we're going to get into some question and answer time. We do have more giveaways a giveaway plan. And we also have the spin to win. Don't go anywhere, because this is your chance to win some cool stuff. If you land here, I'll talk about a cool tool that you may not know about. Anything here is a giveaway. A 30-minute Zoom meeting is when me and you personally just have time together. If it lands on personal, that means you get to ask me or Robbie, me, Robbie, Sheri, or Jessica a personal question. Don't make it beekeeping. Have fun with it. Ask us something personal. And you can also win a chance to be on my mentorship program, a free month of B Team 6. You can win that. So, we got a few cool things coming up on the spin to win. So don't go too far away. That's a lot of fun. Okay, just bought 3 winter boards. I appreciate that. Okay, here's our first question for the evening. I have a question. Have you had any luck feeding your bees at night? Install front feeder after dark, remove before sun comes up. That might work. I would still be skeptical of using any kind of entrance feeder at night. Bees might not be real active, but they probably still would go and get that, because I know they eat from the top when I feed them my top feeders as well at night. They stay pretty active. Can our poor air quality from Canada wildfires hurt our bees? I don't think people realize the small particles that is in wildfire smoke. It's very hard on humans. It will aggravate your lungs, and once it goes in there, you basically have to cough that up at some point. I don't like to work out or cycle when it's really bad. I have a particle measurement device, digital device hooked into my weather station, so it tells me the quality of my air. And although bees don't have lungs like we do, they still need oxygen through their spiracles to oxygenate their cells. So yeah, it's not good for them. Fresh air is better. How do I say that? I did a Demarest split this year and have been tearing down swarm cells all summer. Today I found a capped over, fully developed queen with the original queen still present. Supersedure or swarm cell? Supersedure. If you just found one, that's probably just going to be a supersedure for sure. Oh, Mary Hocut. David, is that you, David? I know David Hocut. Boy, David's a good friend of mine, but Mary might be related to David. Thanks for the super sticker tonight. If I had a brood break this summer with them having to requeen, should I do a man-made brood break, like caging the queen, for fall? I like making a brood break about once a month for about a week, and it does break the queen's ability to lay a lot of eggs during that week. Roughly that'd be 7,000 eggs potentially. And that would be 14,000 mites if you have 2 mites per cell per egg, if it turned out that way. So hypothetically, you could prevent 14,000 mites during that time, roughly. But, who knows for sure. But I would try it once a week. But watch out, they may start raising queen cells when you cage her. EL, is that screen short enough to use on medium boxes, especially with cleats? Yeah, it looks like it is. Absolutely is. Looks like it's only about 4 or 5 inches at the most. Thank you for your super sticker. Thank you all for your donations to the live stream. It helps us with giveaways. It helps us with speakers that we have. Looking forward to having our friend Dr. David Peck in the future back on with us. You all like him a lot. So appreciate any donations to help with that. I want to have another big giveaway, but I'm thinking that through. All right. Good evening, Dave and crew. If a queen is unmated, will she lay drone eggs? Also, does a queen ever rest or take a break, relax from laying eggs? Yeah, she can lay drone eggs if she's not mated. It's just unfertilized eggs. Absolutely. And does she ever take a break or relax from egg laying? Yeah, not if the season is that filled with nectar and the bees are busy. No, she doesn't take a break. But if there's a poor nectar flow or a dearth or wintertime, you'll see the queen doesn't lay as much anymore. And I've heard people say that if you cage a queen for a week, like a brood break, when you let her out, she's ready to lay, and she lays like a new queen, you know. So yeah, it's amazing she doesn't take a break. Hey, Marianne, how are you? I have a new virgin queen in my hive. I hope she has enough time to mate. Was it smart to take off the robber screen? Hoping to make it easier for her to go and return. There are a couple of robbers. Okay, I see. Yeah, normally, Marianne, the virgin queen spins. I made a video where I documented what a virgin queen does to get orientated to the box. So she probably would be okay if you left it on there. I get it. I might be tempted to take that off too to help her get back home. So let's just keep an eye on it. Put it on as soon as you can. Not a bad idea. What's up with the thumbtacks at the bottom of the robber screen? Are we supposed to leave that on all the time or take them off? When you put them on, it picks up the screen about a 1/4 inch. Oh, well, the thumbtacks here, you know, is what you're talking about. And if you put them underneath right here at this level, it will jack up this a little bit here to make a really like a mouse guard. Essentially, your bees could still go in and out, but if you put them down here underneath here, it becomes a mouse guard. That's that little square right there, got a little sliver in it. Poke them up through there. That way it jacks it up enough to keep mice out, but your bees fly in and out. I think that's what you're asking. Pretty cool design, I think. We do sell these on our website, by the way, honeybeesonline.com. Is it ever too warm to put robber screen on a hive, low 95 degrees and humid, lots of bearding? No, not really. I don't think so. I mean, it helps if it's not there, but it helps not to be robbed too. So it is very ventilated in the front. See that? Look at all that ventilation. So it's heavily ventilated, and bees are masterminds at keeping the hive cool and ventilated. Got a big giveaway coming up. Don't go too far, and we got spin the wheel coming up too. All right, I am in suburban Chicago with 2 backyard hives. Is it too late to put the entrance reducer to the smallest opening? No, you can adjust the entrance reducer anytime you want to. Never too late, never too early. If you wanted to run the entrance reducer on the smallest setting all year long, there is nothing wrong with that. Most of us either put it on the bigger opening for foragers to go in and out a little easier, or take it off completely. But I've removed bees from homes and houses where they just had a tiny little break in the mortar between 2 bricks, and they made a ton of honey in the wall. So bees are pretty good about going in and out. You just have to take their turn and go single file. Yeah. A lot of good questions tonight. Hey, Leslie, David, I have 6 colonies that I tested for mites, and only 1 was an issue. Would you treat just 1 or all 6? Now, that's something that I would like to comment on specifically, because you can approach it the way I do. I'm only going to treat the hives that are showing a high mite count of 2 or more than 2 mites of 100 bees is what we're looking for. By the way, somebody thought I had the numbers wrong on one of my videos, and I didn't get a chance to answer that comment. I'm going to answer it here. I said that there are 300 bees in a half a cup, and I stand correct. That is what the numbers are. There are 300 bees in a half a cup, okay? And that's what we use to measure a mite test. Now, we multiply it out. So if you want 2 mites, 100, and you test, 300 bees, you're going to have 6 mites to give you that percentage that's tolerable, okay? And that's what we're looking for, a 2 to 3% mite load on our bees. So if I have a real low mite count, I'm not going to treat if I don't have to, right? I'm not taking antibiotics just in case I have a bacteria that I don't know about. I'll wait till I have a symptom. If you need to seal your hives to move them, or if someone is allergic, what are some ways to do so, and what should you be cautious of? Okay. Understood. Something happens, you need to seal them off. There are a lot of ways to do it. The easiest way that I like to do it is I like to take the bottom board screen. And you go buy a roll of that or sheets of that. It's called 1/8 inch hardware cloth is what it's called. I buy it at lumber yards. And it's the same stuff on screen bottom boards. 1/8 inch means bees can't get through it. They need a 1/4 inch. I will put that, I'll make a V. I'll cut a piece about 6 inches. I'll make a V and I'll poke it in my entrance. That makes ventilation and it doesn't allow bees to come out. That works good for me. There are some screens you can put on top if it's really hot, things like that. Be cautious of getting them too hot if they're out in the sun and they can't really fly or get out or move. Just want to put some shade on them maybe. Yeah. Well, hi, Larry. Good to see you. Wondering when I should remove the green drone comb frames or leave them all year. Can't get into the hives regularly in the winter, so I'm thinking they should not be left on. Yeah, I left one on one year, Larry. And what happened was before I was able to go out there and do much inspecting, my first inspection, that drone frame was completely filled with emerging drones. And why I don't like that is because that means emerging mites. Yeah. So I think it's better to get those out of there. Unless they're filled with honey, then I'd leave them in there. Good question. Green drone comb is a way you can control mites. So I really appreciate how well they work. Hey, Jimmy, does robber screen make bees take a new reorientation flight? If so, is that a good time to move hive? Maybe a little bit. I wouldn't be too worried about it. Once they get out, they know where they're at. It's different, but it could cause them to take a reorientation flight. Might be a good time to move them if you're going to do that. Yep. Hey, Tom, Northeast Pennsylvania, lots of orange pollen coming in. Should I wait to add inside feeder? I have a lot of orange pollen too. Yesterday or a couple of days ago, and they were just bringing in by the boatloads. It was unbelievable how much, it was like a dark orange. It's not corn, but it was just dark orange. They were tearing it up. I'm telling you what, it was something. Today, nothing. It's just like somebody flipped a switch and the dearth hit. But yeah, you just kind of make a decision. I usually wait a couple of weeks after a dearth starts, so my bees kind of know that there's nothing out there, and it helps them shift over to the winter physiology mode of raising bees of winter physiology. If you got multiple hives with robbing screens, won't bees know how they work to get into another hive if their hive may have it too? You know, those are questions I can't really speak because it's the mind of a honeybee, and I don't know the mind of the honeybee. But the idea is that any insect, wasp or bees, when they fly, they're attracted to the odor of the screen that they smell the bees. They want to go where the odor is, and they can't get through. They hear the bees, they smell them, and you make a good point. I don't know if bees are that smart to say, hey, my house has a door up here. I don't know if they can figure that out or not. Possibly. That's a very good question. Just got a refractometer. How much moisture is acceptable? Those are fun. I think everybody should have a refractometer, a little $30 device, put a drop of honey on it, close the little lens and look through the little hole, and you'll see a blue and white line in the middle, and you can see what the moisture level is. Acceptable is somewhere between, I'm going to go extremes, 14%, maybe all the way up to 18, 19, even 20% sometimes. So it depends on the nectar source. Some can be higher and be fine. Some can't be. So it really depends. Most of us shoot for 16 to 18%. Yep. Good question on the refractometer. Go on Amazon and get you one. You'll like it. It'll help you know if your honey is ready to be harvested. Absolutely. All right. Hey, David, would cheesecloth work instead of burlap to prevent robbers? Oh, I see, on top of a hive. It's breathable, yet I don't think the bees would stick to it. Thank you for all you do. I think it would. Yeah, I definitely do think it would work. All right, let's take a moment to do the spin to win. All right, get this over here in the scene here. See what goes down. All right, let's give it a go. You ready? All right, we got a good rotation. Sounds like it needs greased a little bit. Oh, okay. Well, we have Beak Squad sticker there. And so that means it's time for another giveaway. Are you ready? This is my favorite giveaway. I love this so much. You know what it is, don't you? I'm going to be giving away another hat and veil like the one I wear. It won't be this one because this is mine. I could be talked into giving this away, but it'd take a lot of talking. But yeah, I love this one. I took this out to EAS this year and wore it out in the field. Smashed her down in my suitcase a little bit. Kind of got jostled around on the airline flight in my luggage, I'm sure. But we'll be giving you a brand new one in a case like this. So yeah, that's what we're going to do for the next giveaway. And while we're collecting, let's see, you leave hashtag hat in the comments, hashtag HAT. And remember, just one time for yourself would be great. And that's awesome. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. I see that we're over 800 people with the live stream tonight. So I'm humbled and so appreciative of all of you. Each one of you is a good friend. I appreciate you so much. So let's spin this again, see if we get something different. Are you ready? If it lands on a giveaway again, we'll try something again. We won't have another giveaway. All right. It can land anywhere. All right. Oh, it landed on 30-minute Zoom. Okay, Robbie, you just keep track of that. We'll do this other giveaway first. So one of you are going to have the opportunity. One of you will have the opportunity to have a Zoom meeting with me. I've done this 3 times, I think, now with those of you that have won, and it's just us hanging out together on Zoom. You ask me anything you want to about your bees, and we have a good time. It's always worked out wonderful every time we've done it. So let's go ahead and do back to the hat, though. This giveaway, hat giveaway. It is a cool hat. I mean, cool in the way that it looks, cool how it feels. I don't know. My bees like it better than a suit. They really do. They appreciate coolness. My bees want me to look cool. They don't sing me as much when I wear that for some reason. I don't know. All right, Robbie, let's see who's going to win the hat today in the live stream. All right. Last person that wanted an autograph. We can do that if that's what you want. All right. Who is going to win the hat tonight? Oh, Mary. Okay. Mary Hocutt. Congratulations. Email us with your address and let us know that you won. I want to know if you know David. You need to email us within 24 hours, beaksquatwinner@gmail.com. Okay, Robbie, now we need to set up our giveaway to find out who is going to be selected to have a 30-minute Zoom with me. Now, don't do this unless you can afford to spend 30 minutes on a Zoom meeting with me, okay? Most of you can. It's going to be hashtag Zoom, hashtag ZOOM, lowercase. Put that in the comments now, and then you can see if you have the opportunity to spend 30 minutes in a Zoom meeting with me, asking me your tough beekeeping questions, maybe your management styles, maybe what you need to do next in beekeeping, whatever. That'd be fun. So hashtag Zoom. All right. Let's take a couple more questions while we're collecting more people coming into the live stream. Welcome, everybody. All right. Hey, JR, good to see you. Where can you get nuke robber covers? I've had a couple issues only because they're smaller hives. Good question. That is a tough one. I've always made my own. You can't really modify these. And I'm looking at a nuke is about 9 inches wide. I've made my own, and I just had little openings. I made them out of screen with a wood, a wood frame around it. And then I just put little openings at the top with a swivel door. So be creative. I think you can make your own. Hey, Charlie, is there any way of helping the bees cap to honey dry it and cap it? Seems like my biggest challenge every year. Okay, so you're having trouble. You've got frames that are full of nectar, and they're just not drying it down or capping it over. There's Two big reasons why they may not be doing that. Number one, it may not be dry enough. It may be ambient moisture that's 90% humid in your area, so they're just trying to dry it more. And the second reason is they may be enjoying it. They may need to eat it, and they're trying to move it down below into the brood nest area. So that very well may be what's going on. I built a multi-chamber bee box, single deep, that holds 5 queens. Okay, queen castle. All-in-one integrated box for nuke production. 4 out of 5 queens are mated and laying. Man, that is great, Alex. I like to see what you did there. Most of mine were out of deep boxes, but I only had 3 divisions in there. And so I had 3 queen mating nooks in 1 deep hive box. You got to make that division board go all the way to the bottom screen, though. You got to cut that, got to make that groove, the whole thing of that box. And it's better to do it before you build the box. Don't try to cut those grooves after you build a box. How many hives do you have? What's a good number for one person? That's interesting. I have more hives than I can deal with. What's good for one person is whatever you can deal with. So if you can deal with 1,000 colonies, you should probably have 1,000 colonies. I assure you, once you get over 100, you need help. Unless you're Superman, it's going to be really hard. You're going to need help, especially if you harvest honey from all of those. If you're doing mite tests on 100 of them at a time, you need help. Don't be fooled. People that have a lot of hives, people that have hundreds or even thousands of hives have a pretty big work staff. You'll see big commercial beekeepers. They oftentimes have 20 or 30 workers out there all the time. So it takes a lot of people. So you should have the number of hives that you enjoy working. Okay. If you don't enjoy it, you might have too many. It's working you to death. All right. What's another good question for me tonight? All right. Did my inspection today. Saw lots of pollen in my hives along with nectar. Good to hear. Would that mean there's no dearth here? Well, a dearth is all about the incoming, not what's in there. So I think a dearth is determined by counting the number of bees going in and out of your hive, because if there's not a lot of bees going out or coming in, there's a dearth. That means there's nothing out there. Now, they're going to eat what they have stored, but our fear is they're going to eat it before winter happens. So we have to be careful about that. Yeah, good point. All right. If bees can move honey around, what's stopping them from moving sugar water honey from the brood box up to the supers? Well, one thing for me personally, I don't like to feed sugar water when I have my supers on. Does that make sense? So you're saying that what if you fed them when they had sugar water and it's down in the brood nest area? Now you put supers on. How come they're not going to move that sugar water up into your super? Mainly because what they move down in the brood nest area, I'm telling you what, they use that up so fast. They really do. They store excess above the brood nest area, and that's what they don't use until they absolutely need it. So they keep moving stuff down below because that's the kitchen. That's where they're serving food all the time. It's probably not going to go the other direction. Yeah, supers. Thank you for your super sticker. Thanks to you guys for all your donations tonight. I appreciate that a lot. Let me take a minute to let you know that I am going to be speaking at the Midwest Honeybee Expo, and that's coming up, I believe, in Wisconsin in February, and going to be there with other speakers. And again, Dr. David Peck is a good friend of this live stream. He's going to be up there too. If some of you live near the Madison, Wisconsin area, I do encourage you to come join us up there. I'll give you a pretty good head notice on that one. I don't have info on my more current speaking engagements yet. I need to do that. I'm speaking once in November in Texas, and I'm speaking in November in Pennsylvania. And so I've got other ones that are coming up. I'll try to get some things built for those of you that live closer to those areas. But it's awful nice meeting a lot of you out at EAS last week. That was a lot of fun. Okay, now it's time to do our Zoom meeting. Who's going to be meeting with me for 30 minutes? Let's give it a try, Robbie. See who it'll be. Looking forward to talking with one of you for 30 minutes. All right. It's the bee guy from Nebraska, maybe. All right. Well, the bee guy should email us and send that email to beaksquadwinner@gmail.com. And then we'll be sure and coordinate a time that's good for you and me where we can sit down and have that Zoom meeting. It'll actually be a StreamYard meeting just like this, but just me and you. So congratulations. That's a lot of fun. All right. Good deal. Oh, I want to take a minute too and just mention that I really appreciate the chance to be back in the hives making videos. I missed that whole week. I was at EAS, but I kind of didn't miss too many videos. But it's good to be out in the hives again. And I got a lot of awesome videos coming up. Looking forward to that. So thank you all for watching the videos that I produce. I'm making videos because I want you to be a hero in beekeeping. I'm not the hero here. You are. And I'm working hard and sweating out there, making videos to help you be a better beekeeper. I try to make my beekeeping videos instructional. You're not just watching me piddle around out there. You'll notice that my videos, they're not scripted, but on the other hand, it's just not me wandering around my bee yard doing nothing. These are specific to help you. I know what you're going through at this time of the year, so I'm spending a lot of time really trying to help you guys out. That's really important to me. That's really is. All right, let's get a few more questions in. How did your Viroxan treatment go? Never saw a follow-up video, and I have a mite count of 6 and had Viroxan recommended to me. Okay, my Viroxan experiment, it actually was not what I wanted to see happen. The 2 hives that I experimented with last year, the Viroxan strips, actually either the Viroxan strips melted the comb away from where they were, or I think what happened was the bees ate my comb away from where the strips were. On, what did I have, 4 strips in there? So that'd be 8 sides, 8, I think I may not be doing my math right, but they ate up so much of the comb and it stayed that way. I did a follow-up video in the spring where I inspected that hive. It was the flow hive, and I showed you guys what it did to my comb, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that I lost that much brood. The hive survived winter, probably reduced the mite count and all. So some beekeepers are laying Viroxan strips, and because it's happening to other beekeepers, they're laying it across between the deep boxes. But let me tell you, that's not according to the label. Technically, that would not be a legal application. It says 2.5 frames of bees, every 2.5 frames of bees, okay? I like to stick to labels because I figure somebody ran a bunch of tests. That's where it's most effective. So that's the answer. I think it's a type of treatment that really does work. I don't know why it did that. It did it to 2 hives that I experimented with. It melted, or the bees chewed away the comb behind them, and I lost a lot of brood space because of that. Yeah. Some beekeepers said it didn't happen to them that way. Yep. Okay, we got time for a few more questions tonight. I was told not to use honeybee helper during a dearth because it causes robbing because it's so aromatic. True or false? It is true and it is false. I like to use a small amount, much smaller than it's on the label. I use a teaspoon a quart. I have never had a problem. I use my Burns feeder boards on top, which is way above the brood area where, the entrance, in other words, is all sealed off at the top. I've never had that to be a problem. But if you put that out on the field near your bees or on an entrance feeder, it would attract bees for sure. Depends on how you use it, doesn't it? I'm going to be harvesting honey for the first time. I am going to scrape it off the plastic foundation. Do I need to coat the foundation in wax before using it again? Absolutely. That would be a very good idea. You'll have better luck at having your frames drawn out very smoothly. Yeah, coat them again. Absolutely. I understand. Junebug. What should a person do if attacked by bees as seen in the news recently? Okay. This hasn't changed any. This is always the way that you do it. You get inside of something ASP. You get inside a house. Don't get in a swimming pool. They'll just wait for you to come up for breath. But get in a building, a dark building. Get in a building. Go into a dark closet. Go in, get into the bathroom, turn the lights off, jump in the shower. Just got to get into a dark room. Get away from flying bees, okay? That's the only way to do it. You can get in your car. I don't know if they can get through the vents and all, but that's better than staying out in the open. If a car is all you have, get in the car. Get out of there. Drive away. It's dangerous, right? I know. Oh, just finished your queen rearing course. Great course. What do you do with surplus queens and resource hives in the fall? That's a very good question. Sounds like the course was very successful, that you're raising excess queens. Well, wow. A lot of people would love to have your queens. Try to keep selling them if you can. If you have an outlet to sell queens, maybe Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, I don't know, bee clubs or whatever. And then you can always combine your mating nukes. I assume that's what you're combining there, to your bigger hives. Just newspaper over the top, move them into 10 frame boxes, let them filtrate into the box below them. That's a good way to do it. Eddie, how do I keep mildew out of my sugar water using quart jars and in North Alabama? Thanks. The best thing you can do now, I've read a lot of reports. I remember Randy Oliver did a little study, and either he talked about or suggested, I can't remember which, putting a tiny little bit of bleach in your sugar water, claiming that the bleach would kind of dissipate over 24 hours, wouldn't hurt your bees any. I mean, heck, we got chlorine in our drinking water, right? And it's in the drinking water for that very reason, by the way. But if you don't want to put, I don't do that. I don't like the idea of that. So I just kind of clean my jars when they need it. Okay. I add Honeybee Healthy, Amino Bee Booster, and my pollen substitute. And I think it's the Honeybee Healthy that must not allow that to grow. I haven't seen that problem when I started adding my ingredients in there. So you might think about that. Just have to wash them when it happens. Yep. All right, we got time for one or two more questions. I bought a full nuke 4 weeks ago and gave them a full deep, above empty to fill. Okay. They filled it in 2 weeks and have since swarmed on me. I've been told to split the remaining bees. I'm new and lost. Split. If they swarmed, I don't think you need to split them because you've lost half your colony. Let's try to move those down into a single deep. Okay. I mean, do you have enough bees to go into 2 deeps? I don't know where you live, but if you can get them into 2 deeps, you got that many frames of bees, that's ideal. If not, get them down into a single deep, see if they'll build up from there into another deep if you got time. But I don't think I would split if they swarm. A swarm is a split. So don't do it again. That doesn't make sense to me. Okay, should I have a resource nuke for every full size hive? No, I mean, you could. That would be outstanding. That'd be a lot of fun. It would bring support to every hive. If you could manage that, it'd be good. But if you don't like doing it and it's a lot more work for you, probably you're going to be fine having 1 nuke for every 5 hives because you don't have to use them that often. You might want to take a queen out of there, but in 30 days, you got another queen that they replace. All right, folks, we're out of time. It was so great being with all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in to the live stream tonight. This is a place where beekeepers can come and hang out, have a good time, talk, and just enjoy each other so much. And a place where you can come and get your questions answered. I'm David Burns. I'm an EAS Certified Master Beekeeper. That stands for Eastern Apicultural Society of North America. And I'm here to help you guys best I can. I don't know everything, and I don't claim to have all the answers. You don't have to do it my way or the highway. You can do it the way you want to, and I'll support you to a point. But I do want to come alongside of you Just like if we were climbing a fence, I'd put my hands together and give you a boost over the fence. That's who I am. All right. So be sure and watch all my videos. I got a lot of good videos coming up in the next few days and a lot of fun. I want to thank my friend Patrick for always coming out and videotaping the hives, and a big shout out to Jessica, Sheri, Robbie for the great job that they did tonight. So thank you all. And before I go, let me say I appreciate you. I love all of you so much, and appreciate all that you do for my YouTube channel here. And it's great having you. It really is. I can't say how much I enjoy all of you. So be sure and watch my videos, especially Coffee Time, where I talk about life and encourage a little bit. So I look forward to seeing all of you guys in the next video. Good night.